Hey, what's happening, y'all? It's me coming at you again with another vid. Well, I guess that most of you have heard that Abel Sanchez has been, he's been running his mouth as of late. Or better yet, he's been in the news as of late for the last week or so. Um, it all started with his initial comment about Gennady Golovkin. And he said that it is on July, about 7 days ago, he said that Gennady Golovkin will be a much better fighter at 168. Okay. All right. Then a week later, which is a few days ago, he says that, quote, nobody from 154 to 168 goes 12 rounds with Gennady Golovkin. I repeat, nobody, meaning no fighter, can go 12 rounds from 154 to 168 against Gennady Golovkin. Now, we've already been down this road before. And the reason why I say that is because this is not the first time that Abel Sanchez has made these statements. In other words, he's calling out those divisions again. Again. And yet, when he did that, it sparked an outrage, and not exactly an outrage, but a big uproar of a debate about Gennady Golovkin, about whether where he should go as far as his career advancement and career path, whatnot. Many argue that he should take fights in the other weight, with the other champions in the weight classes, like in 154 to 168. Some arguing that he should stay in his division and clean out the division. All the yada yada yada, all that other stuff. Okay. All right. Now, I'm going to be very polite as I can be here. And the reason why I say that is because, I want to approach this in a level-headed way, like I've always done. And there's sometimes I do get emotional because of the fanboyism that keeps attacking me for my critique and my point of view on the situation. So, but the bottom line is this: you can't satisfy everyone. So, whenever I state my opinion, I'm going to stick by them. I don't retract them unless I'm wrong. But if I feel the situation for what it is, I'm gonna call it for what it is. That's what my channel's about. You're not gonna get that fanboyism or the extremism on my channel. If you're looking for that, this is not the channel for you, and I have to reiterate that point again. All right. So Abel Sanchez, and this is why I've said in my previous videos that you have to be careful what you say, especially in the world of boxing. Okay. And I said in one of my previous videos where Gennady Golovkin really need to get his management under control as far as the messaging, because they are making him look very bad. Okay. When I made those statements, I got attacked for being a fanboy, or I'm not being a fanboy, for being a Golovkin hater. I'm stupid. I don't know shit about boxing, blah, blah, blah. Well, it's funny. It's coming from those who are saying that Gennady Golovkin is the most avoided fighter in history. He surpasses Hagler. He surpasses Hopkins. He surpasses Monzon as one of the greatest middleweights. For those who made those comments, they clearly have no history, no knowledge of boxing whatsoever when they make that comments, because they never, since they made those comments, they never heard of the Black Murderers Rose members. Okay. And better yet, they also say that since that Gennady Golovkin is the most avoided fighter in history, in their words, he should be put above the pedestal of the likes of Hagler, Monzon, and Hopkins, which I find very laughable, because if you're gonna say that, then maybe the Black Murderers Road members should be given that same recognition as well. Okay, now we all know who Charlie Burley is, right? We all know him, the guy who's supposedly ducked by Sugar Ray Robinson. Okay, but does anybody know who Lloyd Marshall was? Does anybody know who Homer Williams was? Does anybody know who Herbert Lewis Hardwick was? Jack Chase, Eddie Booker, Aaron Wade, Burt Lytell. Okay, I guess not many people know who these guys were. Well, they were the members of the Black Murderers Rose, right? These are guys who were African American, who were denied title shots during the 40s and the 50s over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Okay? It was so bad to the point that not only that the mob had the stranglehold of boxing back in those days, It was so bad that those guys were frozen out of their fighting divisions to the point that they had to face each other 60, at least more than, I would say about 70 times in their career. I could be wrong, but it was around that neighborhood, maybe 60s or 70 times. 70 times against each other in their career to the point that those were grueling wars that they had to fight against each other to, to even in hopes of competing for a world title and keep their careers going for a longevity standpoint. Okay. Yes, when these guys were blatantly ducked by all the other world champions in the division, they just sit in one division and complain about being ducked. So what they decided to do is leave their divisions, go after and look for challenges, even fight men that were way bigger than them. And they did that. And guess what? Those fighters still avoided them, including Charlie Burley. Because I recall, as I did some research on this, Charlie Burley's manager even issued a challenge to the light heavyweight champions and the heavyweight champions to fight Charlie Burley. And most of them still declined the offer. Okay? So, yeah, they went to look for challenges. And I might also add, too, back in those days, there was only one world title in one division. There weren't any alphabet titles like in the day and age that we're living in now, where fighters get many opportunities to fight for titles. Back then, there was only one champion, one division. That's it. So that's why it was so extremely difficult for them to get a world title shot, which they didn't. But needless to say, they all had Hall of Fame careers based off what they had to go through in a very, very discriminative environment, in the world of boxing back in those days. As I initially pointed, that the mob had a big presence and control of the sport, or stranglehold. But I'm getting off topic here a little bit. But what I'm saying is, the bottom line is this: when Abel Sanchez makes those comments about his fighter will have, can handle anybody from 154 to 168, or actually he said that nobody can handle Golovkin, whoever is a 154, 168, then that totally undermines your core message. And that core message is that you're trying to unify the middleweight division. You're trying to become undisputed and clean out the best fighters in that division. All right. If I was a communications consultant, this is what I would advise Abel Sanchez and Tom Loeffler, by that matter, what to say and how they market their fighter. Okay, first things first, our fighter is the most feared fighter in his division. All right, fair enough. He is. Our goal is to unify the division the best way we can, and we will do that. And once we'll do that and clean out and beat the best fighters in that division, have some, string of title defenses, then we'll consider moving up in weight. That's it. That's all you had to say. Perfect messaging, sign, seal, and deliver. But when you are competing in the division and you're trying to unify it, and then you have one of your handlers like Sanchez come out and said that, well, we'll like he initially stated that we'll fight anybody from 154 to 168, and then you come out and say that, well, now you come out about 2 years later and say that nobody can from 154 168 can handle Gennady Golovkin. And when you say that, now you turn out, you're saying that you're not interested in certain fights. Like, for example, when you make those statements, you have people like Erislandy Lara, you have Andre Ward, and I have to allude to those points again. And then more recently, you have Lara again, for the millionth time, call out Golovkin. You have Gilberto Ramirez, James DeGale, and Demetrius Andre recently call Golovkin out. Now, to be fair to Tom Loeffler and his group, they actually responded to Gilberto Ramirez, and they are interested in making that fight for next year. I like that fight, to be honest with you. And that would be a 50-50 fight because Ramirez is obviously a way bigger man, and he has a very long reach and has a respectable power. So that's going to be a very, very tough fight for Golovkin. But again, we'll see how that turns out. But when you call out a division, you can't turn around and say that, oh, you know what, we're not interested in that fight. But then why the hell did you call out the division then? You just said that nobody can handle your fighter at 154 to 168. But here you are, you have 154 fighters calling your fighter out, but yet you guys don't want to respond to him. But I'm also hearing this crap, too, about certain people who are defending this and saying, well, if those fighters who are calling out Golovkin are interested, they should make him an offer. Really? And to be honest with you, that's probably the most lamest argument I've heard because you didn't say that when other fighters were calling out other fighters in other divisions when they wanted to make that fight. When Floyd was being called out by a lot of people, you didn't tell those fighters that they had to make him an offer to make that fight. So why the double standard? And with the Lar situation, when Lar called this guy out, there's people were making countless videos trying to discredit Lar. And some are saying that Lar needs to take a legitimate fight at 160 before he even gets a shot at Golovkin. Well, funny, because Golovkin called out Floyd and called out Pacquiao and wanted to go down and wait to fight those guys. You didn't say that he had to prove himself to go to 154 before he fought Floyd or Pacquiao. I didn't hear this talk when Sugar Ray Leonard came out of retirement to go up 2 weight classes to fight Marvin Hagler. I mean, I didn't hear nobody say that he had to prove himself at 160 to take the fight with him. So, I mean, it's just all these excuses, man. I mean, don't you guys want to see your fighter fight the best? It's an honest question. Don't you want to see Golovkin fight those guys? I mean, hell, he beats all the 154 guys. Andrade, I think that's going to be a much tougher fight, and I think Andrade might beat Golovkin. Based off the long reach and power and the ability to box at angles, yes, he's a much more powerful fighter than Lar. In fact, he can apply a little pressure and very long reach. As far as a Lar fight is concerned, I think Golovkin beats Lar. I think he knocks him out. He will break him down, he'll wear him down, and he'll stop him. If he fights Lar and he beats him, that would be a very solid win on his resume, okay? And here's the other excuse that I'm hearing too. Oh, Lar brings no money to the table. Really? Well, most of you say that didn't realize that Erislandy Lara he actually headlined a pay-per-view with Canelo Alvarez, and that drew over 300,000 buys. Golovkin headlined only one pay-per-view, and he drew under 100,000. So you do the math there on who draws more on pay-per-views. And better yet, you're telling me that fighting the Willie Monroes, the Dominic Wades, and the Yoshidas, and the Matthew Macklins of the world, those guys actually brought more money to the table than Erislandy Lara? Can you honestly sit there and say that? And better yet, Erislandy Lara has a better resume than those guys. Okay? He unofficially beat Paul Williams. Well, we all know he got robbed in that fight. He unofficially beat Canelo Alvarez, if you ask me. Yes, he went through Ishe Smith. I don't think Ishe Smith is that great of a fighter, but he is a good fighter compared to most of the guys that Golovkin's beat. Okay? He has, he has Monterosian. I mean, he's a decent fighter. I mean, okay, that's said and done. But you got Alfredo Gulu. He's got Austin Trout. So those are, pretty good wins. So with that being said, I think Lara would be a damn good fight, man. I mean, this is a fight I want to see. But at the same time, I think that Golovkin beats Lara. That's my opinion. I think he beats the Charlo brothers. I think that's gonna be a tough fight for them as well. I think he beats the Charlo brothers. I think he'll beat J. Rock Williams. But there's one, that Demetrius Andre fight. That's one I think that Golovkin will pretty much lose, if you ask me. But again, Andrade did come out and said that, well, you know what? I want to clean out my division first and before I fight Golovkin. Okay, fine, so be it. But other than that, if a fighter calls you out, you should respond to him and call his bluff. If Gennady Golovkin is interested in the fight, then he should make that fight. But since he's not responding to those guys, that just goes to show that he's ducking them and he's not interested in those fights. He doesn't want those fights. I think he personally wants the fights because he wants to prove himself. But I think his handlers like Abel Sanchez don't want those fights. But then again, it goes back to my point. If you're not interested in certain fights at certain fighters in divisions, then don't call out an entire division. Better yet, when one of the fighters like Andre Ward, who actually responded to your challenge about almost 2 years ago, actually more than a year ago, you can't talk about offering catch weights for one fighter, then you want to turn around and offer the other two fighters at their full weight. You can't do that. All right? So I just don't understand some of these people's logic that defend K2 and their messaging. And again, it goes back to my point. It'd been better if they said that we want to focus on one division, clean out the best fighters there, unify it, and then we'll move up the weight. That's all you had to say. Not go out and say that we're going to fight anybody from 154 to 168. They turn around and say, you know what, we're not interested in those fights. You know what, maybe we should offer this guy a catch weight, but not his best weight. But we'll fight Chavez Jr. and Frache at 168. And then when that die out, Then you have Sanchez come out again and say that nobody from 154 to 168 can handle Gennady Golovkin. Another call out. But as soon as you made those remarks, you have 4 fighters that called you out. You responded to one fighter, but yet you want to neglect the other ones. In fact, about a month ago, Lofter did come out and said that he was not interested in the Jason Gale fight. So that's a duck. Wow. And guys, look, I'm not shitting on Golovkin. I think people are going to perceive it this way in this video. I'm just saying this. I'm a fan of his. I've defended him on many occasions, and I got attacked for that. But yet when I give honest critique about him or add a little shred of criticism on his team and his approach of certain fights, I get criticized. So it's like a no win-win situation for me. But again, it goes back to the fact that I state my opinions and I'm not going to retract them. It's not hate, it's fact. Okay? Like somebody likes to always recite. I just want the man to fight the best, and I think he is one of the best fighters in the world. I just want him to fight better challenges. That's all I'm asking for him to do. Like I asked every other favorite fighter to do. Yeah, most recently, I criticized Deontay Wilder for taking the Chris Arreola fight. And many of us don't agree with that fight. Okay? So it goes back to my point. I don't care who you are. You could be my favorite fighter, or you could be the fighter that I don't like. You're not going to get a pass on my channel if you're doing something that I feel that's not in the right. Okay? That's plain and simple. And Wilder certainly didn't get a pass when again, I have to say that he's not getting a pass from me for taking this Chris Arreola fight. To me, it doesn't do him any good, to be honest with you. I'd rather see him fight a better competitor who actually deserves a title shot. Not no Chris Arreola, but anyway, that's just not about Deontay Wilder, Chris Arreola. But I just wanted to state that case. Man, oh man. Again, Abel Sanchez needs to shut his ass up. In fact, I must also add that there's a reason why Sullivan Barrera left Abel Sanchez. In case most of you guys haven't heard. Sullivan Barrera had parted ways with Sanchez, and he even said that, you know what, Abel's been good to me, but it's time for me to, part ways and look another direction. And I think it all stems from the fact that Abel Sanchez threw his fighter under the bus after that Andre Ward fight, which was disgusting from Abel Sanchez, the way he behaved after that. Going around there, and he was downplaying Andre Ward and his accomplishments to a degree, and then turn around and say that, Andre Ward won't be able to handle Kovalev. I mean, we don't know that for sure, but Kovalev sure as hell didn't say that he could beat Andre Ward. He even said, I don't know if I can win that fight based off what he seen when Andre Ward did to Sullivan Barrera. A big punching light heavyweight. So, come on. Okay? So you're gonna downplay another fighter's career, and then you're gonna throw your other fighter under the bus the way he performed. In fact, you didn't even give him any instructions how to adjust to that fight against Ward. So you try to throw the 100% blame on your fighter for the way he performed against Ward. And yet you're going to sit there and say that it's not my fault. He's a student and I'm still the teacher. Well, hell, you didn't teach him that night when he fought Ward. So, again, this guy just somebody needs to put some goddamn duct tape on his mouth and tell him to shut the hell up. Because he's now making contradictory statements left and right. He's making Golovkin look bad, just like how he made Sullivan Barrera look bad. So, it's like, to me, I think he just liked the media attention. I'm just being honest. I think he loves the attention. And it's not doing Gennady Golovkin any good when he's making statements like, my fighter no fighter at 154, 168 can handle Gennady Golovkin, which is another call out. And what did you know? And I have to reiterate this again. You have 4 fighters that actually called you out. One of them you did respond to, great, but let's see if you respond to the other 3. Now, I'll say this once and I'll say this again, and this is a closing to this video. As a fighter like Gennady Golovkin, you cannot complain about fighters voiding you in one division, but yet you're not willing to move up and find other challenges, okay? Hell, like I said, do what like the Black vs. Rose members did when they were being voided in one division. They actually moved up and find challenges, okay? You just can't do that. And better yet, when other fighters you call out other fighters in those divisions, and when they respond to your challenges, you can't ignore them. You have to respond to those challenges. So, that's all that needs to be said. Let me know what y'all think. I'm signing off. Peace.